was Villa 007. Everyone was assigned either a 2- or a 3-story house. The 2-story houses have the largest floor plate, and we have the smallest site of one of these large floor plate 2-story houses. We really wanted to emphasize the landscape, and that had given us a very small amount of landscape around the house, so we worked to internalize that landscape and counterintuitively actually expanding the floor plate to allow more of the landscape to come directly inside the building. So you see here on this aerial axon 3 light gardens pushed deep into the space itself, and then the ground plane displaced onto the roof to create a roof garden, or rather roof landscape. We were programmatically interested in the idea of domestic migration rather than stratifying into service, living, and sleeping levels. We wanted to mix those programs up, so unconsciously you can go from program type to program type without changing levels. We considered all 3 levels, including the roof level, a living level. So each level has living spaces, but also sleeping spaces and service spaces. This is the easy one to get to. Our external envelope is a box sliced off toward the south to allow the maximum amount of sunlight to penetrate into the light gardens filtered through the trees and into the interior of the spaces. The lower level is the most active level with a gym, sauna, hot tub, if you've seen our model, a shark pool. This external facade is quite transparent, but we depressed the floor plate down into the site to create a sense of privacy. That lower level connects to the second living level via an oversized stair, which is a folded steel plate stair that we consider a stair room. That is a vertical social space that starts at the wine cellar and winds up on the roof. Programmatically, on the second living level, all the private spaces are created by volumes, and the public spaces are created by the spaces between those private volumes and between the private volumes and the exterior shell. So for example, the living area here is created by the exterior shell, by the pushed-in light garden, and by this park element, the park volume that penetrates vertically through the whole project. Our materials are concrete and concrete, board formed above, a rusticated base below, large expanses of glass and more public spaces, and in more private spaces, a kind of constellation of perforations. This is just inside a study zone that's quite vertical in proportion, created between the exterior perforated shell and a space here, a felt-clad bedroom area. You can see the faceted roof plane above. In this section, you can see how those facets of the roof plane enable us to create a variety of spatial conditions on that second floor. The ground floor there depressed into that, and below that, the wine cellar level. So from the roof terrace, in conclusion, in the roof terrace, then you have the penetration of the tree canopy, the artificial horizon created by this kind of bowl shape, and then the actual Mongolian horizon beyond. Esther Luca, and I want to thank Ivan Chabra, Benjamin Cadena, our wonderful project designer, Carl Larson and the project team, as well as Brett Apple and Cristobal Correa for their structural engineering. Thanks.
Okay. Early on, we proposed a wall around each one of the lots to create a clearly defined urban space. It was hard to get consensus amongst 100. And although we built that model, we failed to realize, like almost everybody else did, that we had to design some kind of box. These are 12th century ladies preparing silk and looking at each other. And early on, we prepared a lot of study models where the architecture would flow away from itself, capturing space in between. This was a strategy that attempted to solve urban problems through architecture by creating an integrated whole of figure ground with no leftover space on the side. In that arrangement, the interior space flows naturally into the interior, and there's universal access for natural light and views throughout the entire building. This is the living room at the entry. We can see the porch perspective, and light at the end that is created by introducing a porch at the end of each one of the arms or a terrace, and the circulation of the house that is integrated within the range of spaces. This is a basement plan with a swimming pool and a solarium courtyard to the south. There's a topographic relationship between the different spaces of the houses and the different courtyards that are located at different heights. This is the inside of the swimming pool. The stair goes up to the entry, and the opening beyond goes down into the playroom. The house cannot be decomposed into a series of stacked floor plates. The facade mediates verticality and horizontality that are born out of the tension created between centrality and periphery that inflects the rest of the space throughout the entire house. The spaces in the center and the periphery are pretty orthogonal in their geometry, and the rest of the house enters a zone of plasticity of the matter. This is the second floor. The cubicle spaces at the ends are bedrooms, and they're meant as spaces where the freedom from rationality achieved by sleep calls for the reassurance of an orthogonal space. Conversely, the other spaces of the house are curved for day use, and they get activated by the light that moves across the plaster surfaces during the day. This is the space of the swimming pool, which is located, it's half sunken, and it has a roof garden on top. The roof steps down to allow access to the roof garden from the nearby courtyard and creates a convex reflective surface above the pool. The spaces in the interior suggest that an examination of space that is proposed by the location of light, natural light at the end of the perspectives, the concealment of the end of the perspective, and the deployment of carefully considered windows that give a suggestion of what lays beyond. This is our last slide that shows the light moving across the space inside the swimming pool.
The time has finally come to let the house do what it wants to do. Ready for that wind, staring at that sun, wishing at that star, pornography, Bible, politics, McDonald's, and that one night with you, we can have it on. If the house cannot get it, how can we? Bring it in, take it in, let it go, spit it out.
Situated parcel number 24, each house light revolves around a series of intersecting patios that inhale, exhale everything it needs and runs at different times, closing tight cycles and opening new ones. The white lawn takes and bounces light on the inside the house to keep the black skin healthy. The black skin absorbs heat and gives protection and warmth to the lawn, as well as varied activities, providing different programmatic thicknesses, creating buffer zones wherever it is.
This is the site plan. This is the exterior perspective. Showing the entry and showing the terrace above. And I believe the next slide is the ground floor plan.
So
The entry.
we're using black brick for the skin, and we're using white stucco for the white lawn, which is this guy. This is the first patio, this is the second patio.
And this is the second floor plan. You see the internal core, which is the patio, bringing light throughout the spaces, throughout the bedrooms. And again, the boundary that you see outside are all brick skin.
This is the third floor plan where the master bedroom is, the studio is, and all the spaces look at different terraces, which are part of the white lawn. So everything has like a different atmosphere, different gardens, different levels. So it's like interior view of the intersecting patios, different yellow gardens, and all the exterior spaces look for different gardens.
And this is the section showing the X funnel, we call it the X, the internal core, which brings wind and light and everything we want into the house without this light into the interstitial spaces between the core and the space. And
These are axonometric of the X, which is the lung, which allows light, etc. into all the program.
this is, yeah.
Then this is a diagram of an unfolded scheme that shows the different patterns of the brick. We start with a very smooth scheme here, and then it gets all noisy as it gets to the south.
And the interior perspective, looking at the living room, the first day we moved in, so we don't have furniture, but they have wind flow, which we want.
And this is the final image, and we want to thank all the team over our roof, developing this channel.
And thanks to all of you for coming.
Site,
Sidewalk,
object,
on display,
home,
retreat,
private,
views,
massing,
box,
sunken,
courtyard,
sloped,
landscape,
view,
cuts,
sunlight,
slices.
shape,
Nice.
Blocking,
Views.
Of the neighbors,
False. Horizon.
new,
Landscapes.
connecting,
Protecting. Open.
landscape,
Protected.
courtyard,
Individual. Retreat.
typology,
Step.
street,
View. Engaging.
object,
Spatial.
interaction,
Perspective. Distortion.
changing,
Point of view.
deceptive,
Volume. Shape.
shifting,
Define.
understanding,
Spinning. House.
view,
Experience.
wall,
Geometry. Brick.
trip,
Turning.
aligning,
Separating. Intersecting.
rectangular,
Repose.
stack,
Repeat. Unfolded.
facade,
Break. Solid. Changing.
texture,
Openings.
screen,
Views. Sun.
study,
canvas,
Shadow. Painting.
sight,
Set.
sky,
Street. Elevation.
peak,
Entry.
bridge,
Dining room. Garden.
front,
Yard.
living,
Room. Connected.
landscape,
Off.
facing,
Protective. Skin.
courtyard,
Landscape.
glass,
Wrapped. Light.
control,
Level height.
living room,
Circulation. Loop.
window box,
Please protect.
dawn,
In winter. Cool.
cool,
Thermal.
mass,
Evaporative. Cooling.
stack,
Effect.
solar,
Deep game. Triple.
height,
Source.
stack,
Skin. Detail.
changing,
Light.
interactive,
Surface. Engaging.
stack,
Sun.
stack.
Night. Falls.
thanks.
Given the extreme nature of the climate and the proximity of neighboring structures, the enclosing wall of the volume is understood as a protective and privatizing shield. Openings were recessed from the outer surface to form sheltered terraces that mediated between inside and outside. The depth of the floor plate suggested the necessity of a central void, which was designed as a glass volume that twisted in response to the rotation and allowed light into the center of the structure, providing equal interplay between the spaces in the house. The courtyard also became the space around which circulation flowed. The wall of the courtyard as design elements were also intended to reference to vernacular Chinese architecture, which uses the wall to define and enclose interior and exterior domestic spaces. The programmatic organization followed the straightforward logic of collecting the social spaces in the lower two floors and the private spaces in the upper two floors. The tapering volume is a result of this organization. The program required 2 living room spaces, 2 dining spaces, and 2 kitchens, which were located on the first floor, as well as a gym, home theater, sauna, and pool located on the basement level and outside. The first floor is elevated a half level from grade to allow light and direct access into the lower level, and to separate the living spaces from the surrounding site. The top floor was conceived as a private suite for the owners of the house, a separate stair leading to the entry hall along the perimeter wall directly to the 3rd floor. Glass greenhouse structures extend into the courtyard void on the 1st and 3rd floors as indoor gardens. The rotation of the volume produced a form that initially seemed challenging to build in a remote environment with limited access to sophisticated measuring equipment. This rotation, however, had generated a ruled surface which can be described by straight lines connecting points at either edge of the surface. Subdividing segments of the edges on the floor plates into equal parts and connecting each point from floor to floor would generate the wall geometry. The sequencing of construction was also something important to the project. The structure was developed as a series of stacked tables where the concrete floor plates are supported from internal concrete shear walls and these constructed lats, which allows it to be built in this manner. Mechanical systems include fan flow units located above bathrooms and utility space in the basement level and 2nd floors. Radiant heating provides supplemental heat on all floors, and perimeter tubes recessed in the floor provide additional heat at full height glazing. The exterior wall is clad in zinc-coated copper shingles. Locally available grade bricks paved with cool terrace and the surfaces of the enclosing site walls. That on the left is the diagram of the structure. An interior courtyard.
So I'm number 38. My role in Ordos was a little bit something like George Plimpton's when he went from being a writer to being a mastering quarterback. I was teaching a seminar on activism and unorthodox forms of activism. They were less oppositional, less self-congratulatory, maybe more effective and sneaky. So we were interested in Chauncey Gardner, we were interested in coercive pen diplomacy that was, that's what I went fast, right? In coercive pen diplomacy and other forms of cuteness and sweetness and coercion that were not oppositional. And when we got to, so I agreed to be the panda for the guinea pig for my seminar. And as part of this, decided that there would be some form of exaggerated compliance that we would use at Ordos. So the project was established a kind of congratulation to the client with 4 simple statements like that, with additional spots as interior spaces, and it was a box within a box and boxes between those boxes. And it was congratulating the client on that great big villa idea, and on the idea of needing home the idea that home entertainment meant preserving some place for art and camouflaging it within domesticity, instead of it being a sort of symbol of class and exclusivity. Whereas a lot of people saw a gated community here, for me it seemed as if they were they're enclaves that protect, sometimes that forbid the thing that's outside, and sometimes enclaves that protect the thing that's being excluded. So in this, the bill was so large that there was a way in which one could make of it a micro-institution, where visiting artists could live in those boxes and be commissioned to alter panels and hidden openings. And those hidden openings are part of another experiment with passive heating and cooling. So one can congratulate the client further by talking about the rare ability and antelope that stores fat in unusual places. The exterior box is could be the place where one could find temperature control, heating and cooling in some super insulated concrete and movements of hot air. And also, one can congratulate China at a very sticky moment in their history, sort of with a bait and switch about Olympic swimmers. Congratulating on the fact of making this gigantic pool so big that it was one which could allow a young athlete in Ordos to train outside. So then all of those boxes could house workers, resident artists, or resident athletes, and congratulating the client further on their willingness not only to be themselves, as which is part of Ai Weiwei's expose of architects, but to alter themselves. And it seemed very cool to be with such a great and wonderful group of other architects, but also seemed as if there was some relief in finding ways to avoid both careerism and righteous certainty. And since the rest of the world is offering a kind of difficult handshake, it seemed like another pale academic ought to stick out her hand and offer the handshake as half Nelson.
If your master planner does this, what do you do as an architect? This is Ai Weiwei during our second site visit on Ordos, doing a performance. He covered himself in sand. We were looking for messages, so we had to it quite literally, since there is no context. Since are really built on sand. It's true, most of what things are built on sand. So when we look for a shape which can survive anything, any climate change, any kind of disturbance, or any sort of visual impediment. In fact, the person who pays for this made his money on coal and wood. We like this black and white dissonance, because it's really black and white. So we designed the building to actually collect weather, the same way the collector is collecting art. The things are designed to actually receive sand, snow, green, whatever that happens there. And in fact, there are two promenades in the building. One is the outside promenade, which goes from the street all the way up to the building, so you can experience the building without entering. And at the same time, there is an interior promenade, which is the program, which starts from this entrance tunnel with the pool below the ground level. And in the plans, it was done quite carefully that the entrance is formed you, the owner, and the workers are just one beside each other. So in fact, there are different ways of going through the building that are not just hierarchical. The second floor would show that which is called the open top floor. And you come up here to the kitchen, you connect to the big living room, and the living room becomes sort of a cliff you can climb up to go up to the roof levels of the sleeping rooms. And in fact, all of the ways how the paths are meeting each other, these are the two promenades are really together. This is important because this is quite technical, but at the same time, when we were there, I read an article in Guardian saying that Mugabe is retired. This is the image of his house in Harare, and that he should be sent to a villa in China. We had a lot of boring hours in our office, and we actually speculated where would, if he were to be in a villa in China, where would he go? I'm not going to tell you which one. But in fact, we ran the entire hall, 3 architects, and we had many ideas. There are actually 40 active dictators today in the world. And all that required, they could retire in fact with their workers by sending them all into different typologies of architecture. We loved this guy. In fact, somebody suggested to us that Gaddafi would be a perfect user for our villa. In fact, it is on the sand, and he does like tents, and he doesn't really like to go inside, in fact. So, in a way, we felt that we could associate, without consulting the client, by the way, that in fact there is a hidden agenda of this sort of technology that we could live with and be very happy with. And at the same time, at the end, I would really like to say thank you to my team. We had a great team of interns from the University of Pennsylvania. Martin Schindler, Kristen Smith, Kevin Keller, Ding Liu, and Benjamin Miller. And of course my partner, Tadeusz Thomas.
Dramatic pause in this. Our approach was in response to the density of the master plan. 10,000 square feet per home, the finished neighborhood would be quite dense. In order to open up the ground plan, our initial reaction was to tessellate our scheme, breaking it into smaller, more digestible sizes. In order to break up the program, we looked at the definition of family. The Chinese single family often includes the extended family too. Therefore, the house might need to perform more like a compound than a Western single family house. Therefore, we subdivided the above-grade massing into 3 towers. By submerging the communal spaces of the house on one terrace level, the program elements bleed into one another in an open plan centered around the courtyard. The connectivity of these spaces responds to the fluidity of domestic life, functioning much closer to the way we live our lives in between spaces. Given the large program requirements and conditions of the site, Bill 64 required a rethinking of the traditional courtyard house. The reduced section of the courtyard allows for each of the shared spaces in the house to have a shared view of the sky, likewise providing access to natural light and ventilation. The introverted communal spaces below grade focus on the family, privacy from the public, and togetherness. This space is about the collective. The extroverted towers provide individual space for each branch of the family and focus out towards the surrounding environment. These spaces focus on the individual. Each floor of the tower is dedicated to one person or couple. Bedroom windows frame views of the surrounding homes and alternately frame views of the individual occupying each floor. This is a view of each of the bedrooms. One picture window for elevation. Dramatic pause. Okay, so environmentally, our project responds to its site by creating a shield from strong prevailing northwest winds. The sleeping towers create a ventilation stack that works with the communal spaces below grade. During the day, the communal spaces are tempered. The adjacent grade provides the insulation, and then the thermal mass built during the day is then pulled through the tower at night to provide nighttime tempering. The thin building towers and courtyards give ample access to daylight and natural ventilation in every room. So it's a simple stack effect, basically, where the ground tempers the air throughout the day and then is pulled through the building. While the below-grade spaces focus the program in a centripetal fashion, the above-grade spaces focus outward in a centrifugal fashion, radiating from the center and adopting a green roof immediately to dissipate the building's mass. It's broken. To dissipate the building's mass and integrate the building into the landscape. The orientation of the bedroom and the shifts in the tower placement allows each room to have a view outward. The two of the towers terminate with a wall green roof that creates another private opening space directly to the sky. So this is a view from the south, or sorry, the north west of the site, into the garage and entry of the building. On the whole, our primary goal for the house was to create an interior to our site, but an interior without the use of a single binding wall. We wanted to create a space that on one level was collectively private and enveloping, and on the other levels individually public and open. Bill 64 is about the emerging individual from within a collective understanding of family, country, and culture. That's it.
Good evening. We'll start with a quote from a Mexican writer, Octavio Paz. Sometimes poetry is in the vertigo of the bodies, and the vertigo of joy, and the vertigo of death.
While the search for paradigms in architecture is no recent one, the conscious pursuit of utopia seems to be another species in danger of extinction, at a moment when architecture and color are rumored to no longer exist. You may ask, why still the obsession with utopia? But let's remember that the promise behind utopia is not placed in its idyllic and perfect state, but rather on the promise, on the exercise of pursuing it. Pursue that place that is disjointed precisely because it's not a place, it's out of the joint, like the body when inverted.
To design, which in a sense is the same as to provoke, is to embrace the sensation of vertigo that's always within ourselves. As if we were standing at the border of a precipice, there is no escape from the anguish that we can throw ourselves over it. To feel vertigo while we're provoking our own mind is perhaps because we're condemned to these sensations, hoping they will take us to unknown new places. From this point of departure, we're betting on the dislocation of spaces and objects, to transform the space in a sequential way into the object itself, an object that happens to create spaces within itself. And it's precisely this space, the one capable and responsible in the end of giving back the feeling of certainty that we recover in the proximity of the void.
With this as a clear voice, we decided to place our faith in architecture in terms of medicity itself. We remove ourselves from any sarcastic, ironic, or contextual position in order to design a house that will not only respond to the program, but also to the more abstract order of complexity that we just explained. This typological drag queen, as we like to call the house, is an impersonator which guides us through all the possible transformational forms. It is, and it is not, what it seems to be. With multiple views, this drag queen shows off hyperboles of want-to-be object, of the want-to-be object, the places that we occupy. It ends begins when it's not in terms of typology, but something more where we believe everything meaningful will take place. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric Lundin. We thought the building was too large, so we
heated and conditioned and insulated, the outhouse is only insulated. On our first trip to Beijing, this slide is not advancing. It is. On our first trip to Beijing, we developed two strategies to negotiate our difficult climatic context. The first difference by either of its galleries is to build with locally familiar techniques and spatial conditions. In response to an extreme climate, the second strategy is to develop a variety of modes of living as inhabitants occupy a house that expands and contracts with the seasons. The insulation thickness of the inner house is calibrated such that there's a 30% differential between the inner and the outer house, so that heat can escape from the inner to the outer house. In the inner house, three single-story buildings stack upon each other, resulting in a series of terraces on the roofs going below. Each floor is optimized in shape and orientation according to a particular pattern of living. The first floor privileges connections to exterior and interior landscapes. One enters through the outer house at the southern end and directly to a central stair. Meanwhile, secondary access stairs allow for direct connection to the second floor. The second floor is a continuous living space, experienced in the round. The breakfast area is placed on the east, the dining area placed on the south to protect it from the western sun, and the living area placed on the western facade at the sunset. In the sleeping quarters on the third floor, 4 bedrooms face different directions, 3 of which have private terraces that are semi-indoors. The parallelogram perimeter shape is designed to optimize solar orientation, including western light hitting the northern bedroom. While the floors are stacked, they're not superimposed. We use parametric modeling to ensure a continuity of only 4 central columns throughout the house. So we've tried to be very economical with the structure as these columns pass through the house. The building has a compact and monolithic exterior, differentiated primarily by the glazed surfaces of the inner house and the outer house. The outer house has brick screens that allow for natural ventilation and natural light, thereby creating 2 opposing kinds of conditions on the interior. The second floor is the core of the house, interpolating views to the exterior with views to the outer house's ambiguous interiors. Spaces are loosely divided by amenities placed like furniture along this continuous space. The landscape organizes a radial extension of zones within the house. Hardscape surfaces incorporating a skylight to the pool and a patio to the service floor below are interspersed with a series of different landscapes, softscapes. In addition to a climatic strategy that efficiently uses mechanics, Villa reconciles contradictory needs of the growing bourgeoisie to both be on display and be private. As we move from the inner to the outer house, views and refined materials are replaced by austerity and introspection. Although monolithic and compact, the house incorporates a variety of relationships between interior and exterior. For instance, the smallest bedroom leads onto a small terrace, which is used as a bathroom here. 3 simple brick patterns continue an emphasis in project implementation. The more rugged patterns face the street and are enhanced by the oblique western light, while the smooth surfaces face the garden. And several of the windows have been positioned angled such that they limit heat gain. You see the second floor up there. While Villa emerges from notions of conceptual material economy, our interest here is to create a constant fluctuation between inside and outside, side and top light, texture and abstraction. I want to thank our team, my partner Mimi Huang, Dominique Hoffard, Alice Wong, Hope we've updated Dina, Adam Vanna, and Eric. Thank you very much.
We're proposing 8 towers. Number 8 is considered as lucky in Chinese culture, and people take it very seriously.
So we make these 8 towers which just stack one room on top of each other, and they converge or diverge forming connections.
In the city, the Ordos is the only a couple of hours away from Beijing. So our potential buyer of this house would be the global dominant who use this house sporadically. So when
So the configuration of these 8 towers allows some to slip past them, hopefully will minimize the shadow impact past our house, as well as allow shadows, light to penetrate into the courtyard areas.
So each tower is programmatically pure. So the entry tower, living tower, kitchen tower, gym tower, 2 bedroom towers, 2 bathroom towers.
And what that does is it allows each of these towers to be turned on or off, and it's our energy strategy. So the house is very large, but we are proposing that only maybe about 30% of it will be used as the day progresses.
So this is the sun itself. So in the background of this vast horizontal plain of desert, this cluster of the towers creates this nature, habitat-like nature. And also we try to capture this massive lights in the entry towers. It's the massive lights over this desert is being captured. And also this particular living experience through towers can create this dynamic interaction to the outside. So the sky can be captured by these windows.
Making the tower programmatic pure like this allows each of the towers to have multiple exposures. So even the bathroom towers has auxiliary spaces like this outdoor terrace where you have yoga happening. And the windows were cloud-lit so they can look into each other. The structure is very simple, where the centroid of these towers is always kept within the foundation, so it keeps it very stable. And then in the strategy, we're using passive stack. The towers are passive stack.
So floor plates get smaller and smaller as it goes higher to create the for better light penetration and privacy.
And so the towers, since they are singular in their burden, we're hoping extreme behavior each of them. And then there are moments where the towers come together where extreme behaviors emerge.
This facade that we try to imagine the opening to the facade. And the interior courtyard get illuminated during the night to create community-like atmosphere instead of one single massive house.
And the clay pots were placed in the landscape, which allows the water to sort of keep on site before running off the garage space. But it also creates reflections in elongated house. Thanks to SK engineering.
We're going to try to present both the schematic design and the design development project. The first schematic design project put all the private programs into an L-shaped kind of sectional mass that's then cantilevered over the site, kind of capturing the public space, which was then situated between in a very big black hole. Actually, it was supposed to be 2 glass walls that are not showing in the plan. Basically, kind of capturing a thermal buffer zone within these 2 glass walls that effectively allow the house to be an extension out to the landscape, and at the same time be a kind of a mass with lookout over that landscape. Now, at the schematic design stage, each project got printed by the client, and these effectively were our comments. Which were very pithy and to the point. The concept was not clear, the windows were too small, and it would be better if the entire project was considered. So in a sense, we realized we made 2 very fundamental errors, and one of those was that given the kind of incredible density of this architectural petting zoo, we realized that we actually had to develop the exterior as synthetic with the interior of the house. We couldn't assume that there was a landscape one could place a building on. And the second thing is, and Eric mentioned this also, is that the indigenous kind of load-bearing construction was really the way to go. That other attempts for more complex geometry and curtain walls ended up producing less than desirable results, and ultimately we wanted to go with the adorable cat.
Working from really the same basic environment of programmatic